is up?
Nintendo Switch.
Nation, I'm your host.
Thomas from the Switch Stop.
Let's get right into the news.
This fucking sucks. The news tab on the Nintendo Switch seriously had potential to be something pretty cool and unique. However, now I don't think literally anyone uses it. It's a shame because, as I just said, it has a lot of potential. Now, according to Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch news tab took almost a year to create. So now, someone with no experience in anything is gonna attempt to fix it, and I don't know, hopefully this goes well. It might go horribly, but let's just jump into it. Now, I'm gonna try and fix this because this is an ongoing series called Fix the Switch, where I fix some of the Switch's worst aspects. The first episode we did was on the eShop, it'll be linked at the end of this, and this episode is obviously on the news tab. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So first I'm going to give you a tour of the news tab because no one really uses it, so you got to know what we're working with in order to actually know how to fix it. When you open it up, you get this. This is like the main menu thing. You have 3 featured articles, which are also the ones that are showing up like when you open up your Switch from sleep mode. Then you got all the latest articles. You got a ton of those. Pressing plus will let you find different channels that you can follow and then get updates from. And yeah, that's your main screen. Now if you press Y, you get taken to the channel list. And this is a way better screen. It gives you all the channels that you're following on the left-hand side, and you're allowed to see all your unread articles, which is a very useful feature. Clicking on an article, it's not very exciting. Aside from your occasional eShop link, picture, trailer, you don't really get anything of interest from these news things. Now you follow these different channels in order to get their news updates, and most of these channels are themed around one specific game. However, one channel, well, let's just say I think this is probably the biggest issue with the news tab. This Nintendo News channel, everyone comes following it, and you can't unfollow it. This tab is just so dumb. If I were to ever actually realistically use the Nintendo News tab, I would want to get news on games I care about. I wouldn't want it to be just a bunch of ads for indies, or news that I've already heard of before, or just things I don't care about. And since you're allowed to follow/unfollow all the other channels, it would seem like you're able to do that with this one, but you can't. And they just pretty much post just the most random things. They post so much, it crowds up your stuff, and I don't care about most of this. For example, we'll just pick a random one that they've done. For some reason, they decide that on National Hot Dog Day, they have to post a poll deciding whether a hot dog is a sandwich. This isn't even for a Splatfest or anything, it's just, here, this is what it is. Then, they post the results saying that 78% of people said that hot dogs are not sandwiches. Then, they go, it's extra interesting because more people said that hot dogs are sandwiches last year. So, is this an annual thing? Do you just annually ask people what they think about hot dogs and whether they're sandwiches or not? That is the exact opposite of what I want to see when I'm looking at Nintendo Switch themed news. I don't want to see stories on games I don't really care about. I don't give a shit about Diablo. Why is it even here? This Nintendo News tab has single-handedly ruined the news section for me. The second thing I'd want to fix is the main thing that you see when you open up. This screen is just... This screen is not good, I'll just say that. You get 3 things that are featured. What does that mean? I have no earthly idea. They're not the 3 most recent ones, because then they'd be the 3 on the latest. Maybe they're the 3 that it thinks you'd want to see the most? I seriously don't know, but yeah, you get 3 featured articles. When you scroll, they've done this incredibly dumb thing where you can only see 3 news articles per scroll. You can see the bottom of one and the top of one, but instead of letting you see 6, they let you see 3. Why? It would have been so much better for them to just show that right there. Not half and then a whole. It's just mind-bogglingly dumb, honestly. On top of that, I think they should just do away with this extra channel list tab and make it the main thing. There's unread articles up there. Give me 2 other tabs in that little mini section. Let me see my latest articles, let me see my unread articles, and let me see the featured tab, whatever that is. Then show me all these individual pages, and I think that would flow a lot better. Instead of having these 2 separate things, which just feel tacked on. Now, I feel like I can't make a video talking about the news on the Switch without actually talking about the news itself, the different articles you read. However, for the most part, these articles are actually very interesting. If I were to give any critiques, I'd say, obviously, you know my opinions on the Nintendo news tab in general, but this is gonna sound weird, but don't focus on the news. Literally, the chances of someone being on the Switch and getting news from the news section instead of seeing it on Twitter or YouTube prior, the chances of that happening are so very slim. People don't check the Nintendo news tab, they check YouTube or Twitter. Instead, focus on the exclusive things that only you, Nintendo, can put out. The developer interviews on Splatoon 2 or the weekly Smash Bros. Roundups are actually very interesting. And if I were to choose one thing to focus on, put more exclusive content into these different articles. For example, there was a Tips from the Wild series to celebrate Breath of the Wild. The developers gave a bunch of different tips about things that they found important in the game. One of these tips was about finding different loot in treasure boxes, and because the article was about loot, if you read the article in its entirety and clicked the link that was in the article, you would get a Gerudo Scimitar. That's awesome. Do more of that. Giving out Splatoon 2 clothings or maybe 100 coins in Mario Odyssey. That stuff would be insane, and I know for a fact I would definitely want to read the news more. It would draw attention to the news and would make people be like, oh, this is actually not bad. This is actually kind of cool. I might want to read this more often. So overall, keep up the news itself, because as much as I kind of crapped on the news page at the beginning of this video, the articles themselves aren't bad. Just the overall layout and UI of the news tab, along with a couple other dumb mistakes, seriously keep this thing from being truly awesome, which I know it can be. With that out of the way, thank you guys all so much for watching. My Fix the Switch video on the eShop will be linked right at the end of this. I'm Thomas from the Switch Stop, signing off. Peace.